Hi, today we will talk about the movie Coco and how it uses different language and ways of communications to send message to people from different cultures. I think Coco used different modes of communication because image the movie is full of bright colors and symbols from Mexican culture. Music, songs like Remember Me show deep emotion and family love. And the story, the movie tells the story of family memory and traditions in a way that easy to understand even with outwords.
Well, the film Coco is the original language is in English, but it's about a tradition in Mexico. So the language of the country is Spanish. So the movie uses code mixing when the character talk or mention like words like abuelita or mijo. So here, the movie is still with the representation of Mexico, the culture, and the words that is common uses in this country.
Well, there is a chapter in the book that says something about multimodality. And like my classmate Mara said, that there is a very important point of communication. Uh, this chapter in the book tells that we communicate in many ways, but not just with language, because Coco doesn't use only language. It also uses visuals and music to tell its proper story. For example, we have the colorful alebrijes, the stunning land of the dead, and the ofrendas. They all contribute to the storytelling of this movie. And also, music is another vital element. Like, for example, the melodies of Mexican music carries emotional weight and cultural significance to what the movie is talking about for Mexico. They add to what the character says and help us to understand this story better.
And also, according to all these visuals, I think that the clothes that the characters uses, all the characters are really giving a message. For example, in the movie, there are some mariachis, and so that represent us as Mexican more than everything. I mean, all the clothes, all the typical clothes that are in there are really important, and also like they say before, I mean, the colors, the images that we can see gives a message, but not just like a message from the movie, but a message from the Mexican culture to the world. And I think that's the reason why us Mexican like feel so proud about this movie, because it's not just about a message of a movie that one character is about all of us and about what represent us in a sense of our culture and our nuestras raíces. So it's much more than that. It's much more than a simple message of communicating, but it's a way that we feel connected to each other, including the person of all Mexico and the people that are around us in the world that feel with this deeply sadness about the people or loved ones that we lost. And I think that's really powerful that they connect us in some way because of the tragedy and the sadness, but still is really beautiful and really empowering. The feeling of saying this tradition we share it with you, and with this you can feel again uh, connected with the people that you lost.
Yes, I think that one of the most powerful messages in the film is a good point that is the memory. The memory in this case in on the film is the memory keeps our loved ones alive. The film introduces the idea of a second death when someone is no longer remembered by anyone in the living world. This concept is brought to life through the I don't know if you remember an scene of the movie of the character of Chicharrón. I don't know if you remember that character. Um, what? Oh, uh-huh. That character disappears in the land of the dead after his name is no longer remembered. It's a heartbreaking moment, but it highlights the importance of telling stories, sharing memories, and keeping your family story is history alive. Um, Miguel's journey ultimately becomes one of reconnecting his family through becomes one of reconnecting remembrance, especially when he sings "Remember Me" to Mama Coco, helping her remember her father and like restoring a broken family bond through um the memory.
I have a comment about Marseilles. Well, using words like mijo or abuelita may feel authentic, but it can make the culture look less deep and more like a stereotype for English speaking audience, I think.
Well, I think by the way, it's a good movie. Like they make it very well because even there is stereotype in some with some things like the mariachi, but they use the mariachi in a good way, like when Miguel uses in the final scene when they are singing, and also I think they use the iconic phrases like the abuelita of the Tráeme la chancla in a good scene in a good context that you can feel like, oh, is so familiar, or I feel identified because my grandma say it, or even the colors that are common here in Mexico, or something like that that you can feel like this movie is talking about my country and I feel identified.
Yes, like they said, it's like yes, it's a little bit stereotype. We will not deny that it's obviously, but I think it's in the right proportion. I mean, you really can feel connected to those stereotypes because you say to your grandma, you say abuelita. You don't know say no say grandma. Obviously, because we don't speak English, but even if we were like Mexican American, I'm sure that a lot of Mexican American people say abuelita because that's how you feel connected to your Mexican roots and what you really have inside of you and in your cultural way. And also you say like the mariachi, the colors, all of that represents Mexico. And yeah, it's stereotype, but at least I think they are not making fun of. They are represented in a way that make you proud or that make you connect or that make you feel related to it. So I think that's why it is a really beautiful movie and that you can feel close to it because it represents you, even they have stereotypes.
Yes, and like you were saying about them, including our audience, we're Mexicans. Um, I have another point that I found very interesting from Devani uh, about the language, because Coco itself it's interesting because it uses Spanish and English in very clever ways. Is not the job of them is not of the translators is not just about translating. It's about using each language to show different parts of the story. There is an interesting point also that, for example, Spanish is often used only for family moments or traditions that they show on the movie, which help us feel the culture as Mexicans. And it's interesting because this movie of Coco represents a world where multilingualism is the norm.
And another point, maybe uh, other thing that the film has is like the animals. In Mexico, I think we love the animals. So the way that they adapt the alebrijes to, like, if you have a pet, if you have a cat, a dog, um, you think there is a alebrije. So in a way, in a good way, it's like, oh, identify, like, familiar, like, eh, for example, I didn't know before Coco, like the alebrijes, like my pet can be alebrije. So when I saw it, I feel like, oh, they care of me. So it's a good way to connect with the audience, and not only in Mexico, even other countries. So it's a good way to connect.
Yes, that's a good point of view. And I don't know if you have been seeing we can see a lot of reference in the movie, like the actors that have died in the past, like Frida Kahlo or I think that Ernesto de la Cruz is like a reference of Pedro Infante. I don't know. It's I'm thinking of my mind. Um, and also uh we can see a lot of actors. It's like I don't remember the other name. It's Cantinflas. Cantinflas appears in the movie, and we can see a lot of reference of Mexico. That is important that the movie like have you said in the discussion, um like mantiene, like that essence of Mexico, the traditions, the music, um, there's we can see a lot of reference of Mexico. This beautiful culture. We live in amazing country.
I have another, I think, important point because it was also translated into some indigenous in lenguas indígenas, uh, like Mixteca y Purepecha.
I think that's because, like we say, it's a really cultural movie, and all these traditions are way are have been here for a lot of time. We have no idea since when we start this tradition, but it's really old. It's actually really old, and I think it has this mysterious environment and this believing. I was also trying to understand, and if you see it with a critical eye, you can say, what is this tradition saying? Like, is this really a thing? I mean, they come from heaven or they come from where? I mean, how this actually works. And maybe if you see it like that, it's really hard to understand. But I think the point is that we connect with centuries and centuries of people that have raised these traditions and that connect with us, because that's how we live the tradition today, but it has a start that we don't know, and it has been transformed in a lot of things and different things. And the point is that we need to remember that the dead is not real, or is not that we don't lose people. It's not that they go and we never have them again, because if we haven't have them in our hearts and in our mind, they will stay with us. And I think that's the meaning, like they will still be here with you and with me and with their loved ones. And according to that, I wanted to ask to the thing that Devani was saying about the second death. I don't know if you remember, but in the last part of the movie, there was this tombstone that was Ernesto de la Cruz, and it said forgotten. So they are repeating the message that you die just if you are forgotten. So now you are forgotten because you were bad. You lied, and that we will forget you, and then you are dead because of that. And I think you're like, whoa, okay. So the message is again in your face here. You are forgotten. Bye bye. And also, I think it's really, really cute, or I don't know how I can express it, but I think we have a point of view about ghost that may be a little scary, or maybe we relate it to something bad or with energies that we don't like. But when we see the ghost of our loved ones dancing, singing, or maybe in the pantheon, you don't feel scary. I mean, in the movie, according they presented, you don't feel scary about that. You feel like, oh, they are with us. They are here. They are there. That's nice. I mean, I'm terrified of ghosts, but in those scenes, I see like, oh my God, that's beautiful. I mean, they are here. I don't feel scared, and I don't feel bad about it. I feel excited. I feel connected with them, and I think those images really get to you and give you a message about connection and about closeness and about life and about the cycle of life too, because they make you remember persons that are important to you. I mean, you can also like take those messages and apply it to your life. Like they talk about their abuelita, and then you remember your abuelita. And they talk about the loss of a grandparent, and then you cry a little bit because you lost one too, and then you take all that message and you recombine it or recontextualize it with your own life. And I think that's why it's so full of messages and so powerful to us and so important to us.
Like a final comment, uh, like Gali says, I think really think these movies make it in a good very well because I thought that all of Mexico feel represent in a good way and very in the details uh, with Coco, like the characters, like how they talk because well I guess we saw in Spanish, so we feel more represented and more identified, but like the colors, like the songs, even the songs, how the rhythm, the letters, the familiars, even they are close each other, and how is this tradition, like Gali says, is you don't feel scared about this. You feel like, oh, I do the same thing about the altar for my grandpa, for my grandma. So I think this is this talk about Mexico very well, and I don't know. That's all.
Yes, to finish, also for my part, I have to point also what Gali said about how they managed to gather these images, this music, and these like anecdotes of the characters in the movie. It affects us in a way that we relate to them. So it's very important to analyze how are you going to represent to transmit your messages to your audience in order to them to have the like the impact that you are like aspiring to in your way to them to react the way that you want them to. Uh, Coco really shows how important it is to use different language and the ways of communicating because teaches us that language is part of culture, as we Mexicans are. And it also makes us think about the messages we get from movies and how people see the language, in our case, of Spanish and our traditions.
For me, Coco was a big success around the world because people from many cultures like it. The mix of language and music and image help people feel strong emotions. And that's for my part.
And I think it's really important to also mention that maybe in some parts of Mexico we don't have like this tradition. I mean, we have it, but not that strong or not that we personally make it. For example, I didn't make any altars before Coco, o sea, yo no hacía altares. I didn't make any of those. So Coco came, and then I decided, oh, I want to do this. I really want to. I feel like a way to connect with the people I lost, so I will do it. And then you do it, and you feel this closeness, and you feel this connection with those people, and then you feel a little bit better when you with your grief. And I think that's beautiful. And also, like, I don't want to make spoilers, but yeah, I hope you see it already. But at the end, with Mama Coco dies, you feel horrible and also so excited because she will see his dad. And then that makes you feel a little way less bad because you say, okay, maybe I lost someone, and maybe that person will see other persons eh, in the other in, in the other place, and he or she won't be not alone, and that makes you feel better in some way and make you help you to pass through a grief. And I think that's the message of this movie. Like, it accompany it is with you, it goes together with your grief, and it helps you to pass through these difficult moments.
Anyone have another comment? Okay, that's it. Thank you.